Hello and welcome to this video where we will be doing a very special GCP lab called Impersonate GCP Service Account for Privileged Access. Now, impersonation is always so exciting. So let's get right into this lab. Right off the bat, we have a web application to be our starting point. So let's see if we can get initial access through this website. And I'll open it up here in my virtual machine. We could open it up with burp, but let's go and see what we have first. Amazing. Seems like a standard web application. Shop now. If there's any filters on this, please enter an email address. We add something before the @ Oh, nice. Oh, look at this parameter right here. Might be something worth injecting. But before we get into that, let's actually go ahead and check what the IP of this is. Seeing as this is a GCP lab, I bet that this IP is actually leading us back to a GCP asset. Google user content. So this is probably going to be a Google. I'm pretty sure this is a GCP instance, compute instance. Actually, this would be a great time to use one of my tools. It's supposed to check which cloud provider the instance is being hosted on. Let's go ahead and check that out. IP to provider. Wait, what was it again? Okay, no output, 0 output. Interesting. This tool did not prove useful. All right, well, let's go ahead and give it a let's go ahead and give her an aggressive nmap scan to see what else is up on this compute instance. All right, let's fast forward this. Okay, nmap is done. Port 22, as we already know, is the default SSH. Port 80 is the web application that we just browsed. Seems to be a Git directory, also exposed through the web application. And there seems to be a GitHub associated to it. Go ahead and confirm that. Yeah. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and clone this to our directory local. So we can use wget to clone it. And let's go ahead and fast forward this. All right, and it's done now. So let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, a little bit of information in the log. Check the branches. All right, we see this branch called dev over here. So we switch to dev. And if we do git log one more time after switching to the dev branch, we see right here in this commit that there was a token.json deleted. Now, if you're familiar with GCP, tokens are what grant you CLI access. So let's go ahead and try to get back this token. Amazing. We got a GCP, we got a internal web dev team service account. So hopefully this service account, this access is not expired, and we can start to move laterally within the environment. Amazing. Let's also set the project. Now let's see with this gcloud config list as our personal who am I. We have this service account set, internal web dev team, and the project set. Great. Now let's go ahead and see if we can access any resources. Looks like we don't have permission to see the buckets. Now, let's use GCP peas. Let's use GCP peas to find what permissions we have on this service account. If you're not familiar, GCP peas is an enumeration tool. It's basically peas for GCP. And it has a bunch of functions, one of which is to brute force permissions. Another function or feature is actually to, we're going to continue brute forcing. If you're not familiar, we always want to continue brute forcing because it gives us much more information than if we rely on the policy bindings on the resources themselves. Brute forcing seems to be covert in that there are no logs associated with it. as of now, or at least at the time of this recording. And also because not all bindings are accessible or readable by every service account. So we might not have the permissions to read the bindings that give us the permissions. So brute forcing is always the best way to go. Another feature that GCPs has is it actually recommends different exploits or assumes different vulnerabilities based on the permissions that you find. So this tool contacts an API, and this API holds an AI that responds with suggestions for you to attack or make attacks, which is very nice. All right, let's go ahead and fast forward this. Okay, so this is nearing completion, and now it's already blurted out some of the permissions that we have. So from these permissions, as you can see, the gold ones are the very sensitive permissions. We have IAM roles get, so we can get roles. But most importantly, we have this bad boy right here, IAM service accounts get access token. So if we're able to get an access token for another service account, then we can actually move laterally to a more fruitful service account that has access to some services perhaps. So to kind of find which service account we might have this permission on, let's go ahead and use another tool that I like to use handy. By the way, if you're wondering, GCPs is on GitHub. It's called Cloud Ps, and it gives you the Ps of AWS, Azure, and GCP. Just wanted to show you in case you don't have it yet. It's very effective and useful. Now for the privesc tool, we're going to be using this tool right here, GCP. I'll go ahead and show this tool too, just in case you don't have it. It's by Rhino Security, and it's called GCP IAM Privilege Escalation. Now we're going to use this tool in order to see very quickly who we can access the token of. I'm going to print the access token of my service account because this tool requires it. As you can see, it's asking for the access token. All right, now it's going to run. So if you're not familiar, this GCP IAM privilege escalation is an array of tools. Let me go ahead and show you. Actually, let me start up the check for privesc.py script before I show you that, because it takes a little bit of time. Okay, and they're both done. Let me show you before we get into it, before we get into the output. So GCP IAM privilege escalation holds an array of tools. Firstly, we have exploit scripts, which we didn't use, but we will use for other labs, which has a range of different exploitation scripts for the cloud, for GCP actually. And then we have privesc scanner, which is what we're using right now. First, we use enumerate member permissions to get, a little database of the permissions. And then we use check for privesc. which takes these permissions and uses other commands in order to create what I'll show you right now. Prevesc methods.text. Now, prevesc method.text is going to have things like this, where it shows you this service account has these permissions on the project. And then let's see another one here where this service account has these permissions, create service account key on this other service. So it's an extremely valuable, and I'll show you right now, an extremely valuable tool. For example, if we take the name of our service account and we simply use the mousepad feature of searching, and we search our service account, we can find all of the instances where our service account has a permission over something or something has a permission over it. So if we go here, we can see that our service account, you can see that our service account has these permissions, get service account access token over intermediate account dev team. So let's go ahead and copy that. And it was that quick in order to find which service account we can access their token. We already know that we can access a token from this output right here. It says right here, I am service account, get access token. But we didn't know which one. So this was an enumeration steps that you can use in order to find where the permission lies and who the service account is that we have the permission over. And with that being said, let's go ahead and print the access token. Amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and save this bad boy. We have just impersonated this new account and retrieved its token. So I'm going to save it to nano token for now. And I might go ahead and run GCPs again to see what permissions we have on this new account. Instead of using a service account file, we will use a token this time. So we just have to specify the token like so. All right, let's go ahead and fast forward this. All right, looks like it's coming to an end. And we have a bunch of permissions that we're going to look at. Now, it looks like we have some Cloud SQL permissions, such as users list. We can see the IAM roles. Let's scroll back up here. And we have source repos get. We have source repos list. So from this output, it looks like we have two resources that we're accessing in this service account. Cloud SQL, and source. So let's go ahead and access that. So if you're not familiar, I simply use the listing command for the source repos in order to list the repos in the source service. However, I made sure to include this access token file flag specifying the token of the new service account that we got access to as an impersonation mechanism. So you can do this, or you can impersonate the account within Google Cloud, within the G Cloud CLI, and we'll be doing that as well. So this is how you can set an impersonation within G Cloud. Now if we can do G Cloud config list, we can see that we are impersonate service account, and this is the impersonation being set in our G Cloud itself. So now if we go into list the source, we no longer need this token file. Everything is going to be using the impersonation now. So in terms of the repo itself, we have this repo, guides docs. And since we saw here that we also have source repos get, then we should be able to retrieve this repository. Amazing. So let's see what this guided docs has. Okay. Looks like we have some instructions and how to create a cloud instance. A cloud SQL instance. Step number 1, create the cloud SQL instance. Set up the database user. See if there's any information here. All right, seems to be some custom information over here. gcloud auth login, set your project. Then here we have a password, and then the PSQL command in order to access the database. So we did actually have access to SQL, Cloud SQL, through our new service account. So we didn't actually enumerate that yet. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and here's the customer app that this instructions document is talking about, customer app 1. All right, then let's go ahead and use this command to connect if we have connectivity. I did not check that, but fingers crossed. Yep, we are in. So amazingly so. Amazing. So we have, I'm pretty sure, obtained the flag. Let's go ahead and input this bad boy and profit. Congrats, you have successfully completed the challenge. That is incredible. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And let me know in the comments below what you liked and what you'd like to see next. See you later.